is it?
Yes, this is Drax Night Out. It's a prototype of an NES game that was never released. It was developed by a small company called Microsmiths Incorporated and was scheduled to be published by Parker Brothers a few months, unfortunately, after Parker Brothers lost their license with Nintendo of America.
Now, Drax Night Out, for those who haven't seen it, it's a game starring Dracula wearing Reebok pump tennis shoes.
Yes, the title,
Not making that up.
shortly after the title screen, it tells you that it features the Reebok pump.
I wish we had a way of cleaning this up, but so this is the original prototype. As far as I know, this is the only copy that has ever.
I believe there's one more.
Really?
Yes.
So you got this quite a while ago.
I don't even remember how long ago I was a kid. I grew up down the street from the original developer, a guy named Rex Bradford. He worked on, I believe, some of the 2600 Star Wars games. Yes. Also Ultimate Underworld 1 and 2, I think, and certainly on the original System Shock.
Now, was he like a family friend, or how?
Yeah, he was a neighbor.
That's cool. That's really cool. And he gave this to you after it was canceled.
He lent it to me and one other friend.
He lent it to you.
Yes. He just never.
It's Rex out there. Rex, are you out there? So, back in my day, it would have gone for about $1,000 or so. But there's been this emerging market, like you said, for I don't want to call them counterfeits because they're not passing them off as genuine prototypes. But there is a market now for what they're calling reproduction runs. So people are taking unreleased games like this and sort of making a small run just for collectors to be able to sort of buy the game. So that has actually kind of driven the value of these up because you're almost selling it to like a small, sort of business that they can then make money off of this. Value-wise, I haven't seen one of these sell, publicly for a very long time. The last time I saw an unreleased NES game made available, the asking price was about $4,500. Now, that's what they were asking. I don't know if it ever got anywhere near that or what happened with that. Now, I guess so. Again, between 1,000, 4,000, 5,000, something like that. However, because you were a wonderful person and you preserved history by making this available, you've kind of killed the value. You're one of a kind item here. I would estimate that if you were to try to sell this off, the highest I've seen one go for was California Raisins, which went for about $750. Because this isn't, a Capcom game like Raisins was, I would estimate someone might give you in the range of $400 to $600 for this. $400 to $600.
Right. I would agree with that.
But very cool. Thank you for bringing that. Thank you for saving that.
And so know about variants and know about things like that. Something else we're talking about is US versus PAL, or European Sega Master System games. On the one side is a US copy of Slapshot, and on the other side is a European copy of Slapshot. But how the hell do you know the difference? Well, if you look on the back or look at the cartridges, the European version on the right has all different languages on the back. The US version says Sega of America down towards the bottom, and just has English on the back. And in the case of Slapshot only, the cartridge is blue versus the red European version. US version is very hard to find. It's hard to find, and it's probably going to run you somewhere between $40 and $50 versus the European version, which was made in much greater quantities, and it's not even worth the. It's not worth the paper that the Sega sealed quality is not printed on.
What'd you bring us here?
I brought in today a copy of Raiden Project, which itself is not an uncommon game. But I ran across this copy a couple years ago in a used game shop in Honolulu. And I brought it home only to find out that the disc that's actually in printed in the game is Killik, the DNA imperative, even though all other indications say that it's actually the Raiden Project. So it's a PS1 misprint. I have no concept of how much something like this is.
In there.
It's not even.
It's not the right part. There's
So, Mike, tell us about secrets and things like that.
This is actually more common than everybody wants you to know. There's even been an occasion where a movie, I think it was like some sci-fi movie, was printed on a game disc by accident. What usually happens though is people who buy these games will call like Sony or Nintendo and complain, and they immediately say ship it back and we'll give you a replacement copy, and you hardly ever hear anything about it.
This is a situation where if we were on Pawn Star, they wouldn't buy it. They would just be like, that's kind of cool, but I'm not going to spend any money on this, because really, who can even say, what somebody would pay for this?
They would just be like, I hope you like Click.
Yes.
So I guess my advice to you, if you were looking to sell this, would just be to kind of hold on to it and see if someday, the PlayStation collecting community becomes more substantial than it is, and then, maybe we'll come to find out that, this is a known misprint that becomes sought after.
Awareness drives demand. Yep.
Can we go back to that graph real quick?
Back to this lightning round.
Yep. So everyone, this is Dan Emmerich, video game journalism sellout.
It's our special guest.
How much is my soul worth?
Dan works at Activision.
Yeah.
But I'm a nice guy. Here comes the secret.
Dan has brought with him 6,000 unsold copies of Guitar Hero Van Halen.
What do you think I'm working on?
Actually, what Dan brought with him are games from a publisher called Wisdom Trees. Anyone heard of Wisdom Trees? Yeah. We've got 3 things here. We've got Bible Adventures. An exciting we have my favorite.
That guy just bought Bible Adventures today for $10.
Spiritual Warfare.
I don't know if that's a male or a female, but it's got like metallic chrome cod piece.
It's got really nice legs.
It also says, if you're going to read the fine print, it says to wait until your NES flashes at least 9 times before you press start.
And finally, and probably most important, valuably, I did not parse that sentence correctly at all, the King James Bible for use on Game Boy.
I don't expect that any of these are actually worth anything. I collect games that are controversial or potentially controversial. I've got my Manhunt, I've got my Guy game, I've got my BMX Triple X, all the classics. But I did not, my secret shame is that I did not have an NES until after I had a SNES. My mom refused to buy me an NES because I had all those Atari tapes. Why did I need another console? So I didn't really start buying NES games until I was, until the early 90s. So I got all these from, I think I got the King James Bible from an eBay auction. I think the other 2 I just scavenged from local yard sales and stuff. Just because
King James Bible for the Game Boy. Complete Game Boy games can go for a lot of money these days.
It's kept any of their games
can also go for a lot of money. Nobody really saved the boxes. Even people who saved the boxes to their other games. They got rid of their Game Boy boxes, and now people are trying to complete collections, and it's crazy. Castlevania Legends here goes for like $200. A lot of these games. If you can even find a copy of Amazing Tater for Game Boy.
It says for Amazing Tater. Who the fuck
Joe
knows?
potentially might know better than me. I think Captain America and the Avengers is kind of like the well-known hard-to-find boxing. Yeah, running out of time.
So we have exactly a minute left.
Okay, so King James Bible for the Game Boy. You want to switch back? Oh, wait,
Okay, sorry.
Okay,
We're back.
So this was put out by Wisdom Tree. It actually is the full King James Bible. Has a quote here from Andy Christman from a Christian rock band who really seems to dig this.
this is change your batteries. You're going to be reading this Bible a lot.
So I don't know the cash value of this, but I do know that of the Wisdom Tree games, this I believe is the most valuable. Is the King James Bible. And it's complete in box, and not only that, it is sealed. I think you have, for lack of a better term, the Holy Grail.
It's upwards of $100, but I don't see it very often. So
Yeah.
it's very hard to say.
Yeah, I mean,
you can see into the multiple hundreds of dollars.
This is the kind of thing where, you know, as more people are trying to complete a Game Boy collection, if you just catch them on a good day, you can probably just, you know,
You get a couple of people
pay
who
the
find
price on that. These guys here, there are variants of these, like, you know, some have blue shells, some have different labels that go for more than others. These, I believe, are sort of common versions of these games, and I might be mistaken, and I value, what, like $10, $15 a piece?
That's probably more likely for that version.
I wouldn't even say 10, 15. I would go more like 5 to 7.
Well, they're worth